highly recommend it. It was good, but definitely no relation to this team. So, um,
Yeah, I've actually been told that 40 Hands is apparently some sort of a party game. That regards
huh.
to taping some 40 ounces of a certain beverage to each hand and
Oh,
consuming
oh,
that
the
beverage.
drinking game. Oh God, yeah, that's right. That totally over my head. I didn't even remember that. Oh my God, that is an interesting game. So,
Yeah, it's always fun whenever you're running like casting and stuff like that, and then you have a bunch of people like private messaging you at the same time.
oh yeah, trust me, it's definitely chat, by the way, be sure to let us know. We're going to do our best to interact with you guys all throughout the day. So any opinions, any, if we're talking about some hype that we want to see, we always want to bring you guys into the conversation. Be sure to, tell us, what do you want to see? I'll probably disagree with you. I won't lie, just because it's more fun that way. But, we're here to have a good time today. It's a Saturday. It's beautiful outside for me. I hope it is for everyone else. And we're going to have some fantastic games here. So as
Yeah,
far as
most
maps,
definitely.
like I said, I'd like to see a Battlefield of Eternity. A couple maps that I've lately have been having issues with the casting, and even in the pro scene especially. Tomb of the Spider Queen has just not been that. It's I feel it, and a lot. It's the same sentiment a lot of pros express too. I feel like it's really snowballing once a team sort of is able to really control those turn-in points. And don't get me wrong, that's absolutely incredible finesse and skill that they're able to really maximize how well they're able to control those turn-in points. Just in principle, I do feel it gets a little snowbally, especially if you wipe out all the gems from someone. I mean, the map. I mean, it snowballs for at least 3 or 4 more levels, unless the team really screws up that has that control.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. It's probably just because this map has been around for quite some time, and it's always the same strategy that we see every single time.
Yeah.
It really doesn't change. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've casted about 100,000 Tomb of the Spider Queen games because it's just everybody's absolute favorite map for
Yeah.
some reason.
Well,
Because
it's the
everybody,
skill cap. I think it's the skill cap. It just
yeah,
people. It's kind of like Dragon Shard. It separates the highly skilled from the less skilled because you can maximize your rotations. It allows you to pick heroes such as like a Stitches or some or even a Kerrigan. We don't see her a lot, but when we see her, it shows the high skill cap and difference between two teams. And if a highly skilled team comes in and they know they're fighting a team that's kind of on the lower end, they can whip out a couple highly skilled cap heroes and just go to town on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen. So I mean that's my opinion of why I think a lot of people pick that, and I I personally like abusing that sometimes myself, not in a bad way, but I mean it really is. It's what it creates that line, the deciding factor of who's better on just a pure mechanical level, unless you really screw up the draft, which I have seen some teams do as well. Quick update for you guys though, we have one team ready though. We're just waiting on the other team to confirm that they're ready to go to get this map draft going. So I apologize if you're, we are unfortunately at the team's mercy for when they are ready to get their drafts going. So, just trying to figure a few things out. Responding to chat, yes, the trailer did show Widowmaker. I'm praying to God it's not a Nova skin. I'm praying to God I don't want that to be a Nova skin. For one, she has enough damn skins, and for two, Widow has a really cool kit. I think they could do some really neat stuff to apply that kit into Heroes of Storm. So that's just me though.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I played me some Overwatch. I am not officially invited. I've only been to the beta weekends, but the open beta weekends or whatever, or closed beta weekends, whatever they're actually called.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Widowmaker seems like she could be an exciting person, but I'm really bad at Overwatch, and so I got picked off by Widowmaker so many times that
Well,
maybe I just have some negative opinions of her.
no, yeah, I think like she has the grab. I don't know the abilities. I loved Overwatch, thought it was a blast, but she has like the hook that lets her traverse terrain. I think that would be so cool to let like a sniper be able to quickly shoot over terrain for like an escape or something. Having like maybe a button to switch between like having her auto attacks be faster and then having it switch back to the sniper rifle for longer range. I don't know. We're not going to theory craft heroes because unfortunately that is not my decision. I wish it was, but it's not my decision for the heroes that we're going to see. But it's cool. I've enjoyed Tracer too, and unfortunately she is banned today, guys, just because she is not officially released yet. Oh, okay. We are in the map draft,
We
guys.
did
So
it.
as soon
We
as
did
they,
it, guys.
as soon as they, yeah, as soon as they get their map figured out, we will go ahead and flip on over to draft. Keep you guys informed throughout the map draft. It's just not that exciting. Let's be realistic here. But a couple really well established. I know Mazema's been around for a little bit. I don't know much about 40 Hands myself. As far as like my research that I tried to do for the tournament, 40 Hands didn't come up a lot. So do you have any experience as far as dealing with 40 Hands before, kind of Any surprises they could have? Do they like to cheese, as it were?
For me, what I remember, they were pretty much up there. They made it to like semifinals or finals, and they're a pretty solid team.
Okay, cool. So we're definitely in for a good first game, guys. We got some good teams right here for you today. Trying to think what map we're probably going to see. I would like the battlefield. A lot of teams don't like it, and right as I say that, they ban it. So there you go. I like a Cursed Hollow. I think Cursed Hollow is a really good map. I really like how people handled the split soaking with the Dahaka that he brings to the table now, especially with the split soaking. You have, of course, the Falstead. You have the Brightwing that really brings a lot of that split soaking ability. And the nice thing about Brightwing is if you can kind of build her a little bit more pseudo support, where she, with the polymorph, the unstable anomaly, getting that extra damage in to let you kind of go the extra route, grabbing a Tassadar or a Tyrande into the mix with that comp as well. So a lot of interesting strategies the teams can bring to Cursed Hollow, which I really like and find interesting.
I love Cursed Hollow too because it's one for me. It's the highest skill cap map in the game still because it's so large. There's so many different types of objectives, and there's just so many decisions that you have to make during the game that can affect it. But it looks like we're actually going to see Sky Temple be picked up as our first map. For our first match of the day between Miasma Esports and 40 Hands, a reminder, folks, these matches are all going to be best of ones until the semifinals and the finals, which are going to be a best of 3.
Yep, and we're going to do that best of 3 for the finals and the semifinals, so that'll definitely be very, very exciting for us to do. So, all right, we see the Falstead ban right off the bat, so just not even wanting to have to deal with that split soaking, so that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Falstad, he's just one of the strongest heroes in the game, and even though we were seeing a Tracer ban, even though we did say that Tracer was banned from the entire tournament, so that's unfortunate, but, sometimes the announcements don't get to everybody, and Tracer is a really strong hero right now.
No, yeah, and, well... I do find that interesting that they did waste a ban on the Tracer, considering that we had banned her. So I do hope that our teams are informed of that ban, and we might need to make sure that is very clear. But they do end up picking the Illidan on the side of Miasma, so just that really strong. Illidan's been such a threat since his rework. I really love that the build style that they ended up going for him. Being able to build into that really intense ability sustain. He can really go and just talent excessively into the evade, and he's just able to go so deep and go really onto some of those squishy characters. And it looks like 40 Hands is thinking Zol.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a very big... Zul's a strong hero in general, but I'm not a huge fan of the first Illidan pick, and here's why. Because what happens when you have Illidan being first picked is that it allows the other team to do a lot of ways to, generally kind of counter him.
Yep.
And also, not only that, it allows the fact of here, if you want to try to threaten with an Illidan, my favorite strategy to do is to pick like up 2 supports or threaten to pick 2 supports, like an early Tassadar pick.
Yep.
And then it forces them to say, hey, we have to use our second ban on this Illidan. And even after they ban Illidan, you still have Sonya as a strong second choice. So I think this was picked a little bit early, but 40 Hands looking really strong right now with the Li Ming Zul combo.
Yeah, I really do like those Li Ming Zul combo, especially if he can put someone completely locked down with, of course, the Bone Prism. But if she picks up Seeker at level 7, that's a really strong talent. Just be able to completely annihilate someone real quick and get tons of extra damage. So that's a really big threat, especially if Illidan dives too deep and they use that as a reactionary. I think that poses a big problem. So unfortunately, Miasma is really going to have to build into supporting Illidan to, I really think, be able to handle this comp well. And the Tassadar, I love the Tassadar pick. That's a great pickup to be able to give Illidan just a lot of support, especially, I'm assuming they're not going to go solo Tassadar just because, unfortunately, especially with Illidan, I don't think that's, but I'd really like to see, I think they can hold off on the secondary support. I don't think that they'll need to do that right now. There's a lot of supports that do really well with the Illidan. You can go the medic if they kind of go for a little bit more of a solid front line where medic can stay safe. I like Rhaegar as well. He really, really synergizes well with Illidan with the Tassadar also. So that could be a strong pick. Right now, I'd like to see them get their last carry right now, honestly.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like we talked about, the Tempo Storm released the meta snapshot. Assassins are the name of the game right now. And when I'm looking at this right now, we still have KT on the board. KT would definitely be a solid choice. He's a really strong. But look, Miasma is saying we're not afraid to do things a little bit different than the meta, as they are hovering Tyrael, which does allow Illidan, if he goes in there with Illidan as well, with Sanctification, to have even more support. We don't see a lot of Tyrael play in NA, but hey, They kind of tricked me there. They did
No.
pick Kel'Thas after
Okay.
all.
I actually really like the Kel'Thas pick because with Illidan being such a threat and them going to have to answer him pretty quickly, that lets Kel'Thas do a lot more in the back line. So it kind of forces them to make that decision. Do we tackle the Illidan right off the bat once he dives that back line, or do we let Kel'Thas kind of do his initial big damage burst? And it's going to really force a lot of decisions out of 40 hands. So I really like that pickup from them.
Most definitely. I like that pickup too. But exactly what do they think they're going to do for a second ban here? Because now that the Tassers already went through, which I think was brilliant by Miasma to pick up that pick, it seems kind of fruitless to kind of do a support ban. But if they were going to do a support ban, I would definitely think it would have to be Rhaegar. But they're going to have to
Yeah,
really make a tough decision here.
I'd say Rhaegar would be a good ban. I would probably ban a warrior right here now, only because they have 0 lockdown right now on the side of 40 hands, and that could they get rid of the ETC. That's what I was about to suggest, just because that forces them to worry about having to pick some really strong hard CC, or that forces Li Ming to have to go into Wave of Force, which I think really drops her damage potential quite a bit. So I really like that ban coming out of 40 hands.
Yeah, now the ban here on Miasma Esports, which they have to really decide. Obviously, they had 40 hands is going to be the one to choose next, correct? So yeah,
Yep.
they don't want to ban a huge front line here because they need to have a front line of their own coming up for the game. So they are going to ban out Sonya, which I think is a smart decision because Sonya is just extremely powerful in general, and she's just great on Sky Temple, especially when it comes to soloing the camps that you need to whenever the temples do spawn. So pretty solid here, and I think if 40 hands is going to do the thing here and just pick Muradin, as Muradin is arguably still like the strongest front line in the entire game. This is generally where we see him drafted here, and then the other team usually picks up Johanna right afterwards.
Yeah, actually, right here, I'd really like to see possibly a medic for a couple reasons. They are thinking about the Uther, and that's not a bad choice. The reason I like the medic here, though, is because they're for one, Illidan is going to have to dive that back line. It forces them to dive the back line if they get the medic. That's going to force Illidan's hand. At that point, if Zol doesn't even have to be too, overextend, he just stays kind of in the back line, and the second medic or Illidan dives in, his team's going to have to follow him to do anything good to, to be able to keep him alive, and that forces Zol's ult out immediately, which then they just focus the Illidan, who was forced to dive that back line because of the medic. So it's a little bit of a riskier move, but right now the only dive potential that they have is that Illidan. So, that forces his hand onto medic if they pick that. So I think that could be a really interesting. And they end up going with the Zagara, so just kind of grabbing that last. So right now the double specialist is going to have a lot of pushing potential, plus the Li Ming. So
Yeah, definitely.
out of Miasma, I really think, Joanna's a good pick right here. It's not the worst thing in the world. I do think there's they're gonna have. I definitely think they're gonna lock in the Rhaegar here. I think that's just it's too easy of a pickup, especially with how well it synergizes with Illidan and Rhaegar, honestly, or sorry, and Tassadar as well. Yeah, there's the Rhaegar. As far as warrior goes, I think that the Joanna's the safe pick. She's just gonna be all around a good warrior. There's a couple of braver picks they could go with. They could try to go for the Stitches as far as hooking in the Li Ming. The Zol's a lot riskier of a hook, especially because you hook him in and he immediately pops Poison Nova, and it's like, well, that was cool. That was a nice present to bring with him, but. The Tyrael, I actually really like the Tyrael here. There's not, yeah, it's just going to be an immediate answer to when they dive in to go on the Illidan, and then just that sanctification. So really good tank pickup by Miasma there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyrion's one of my favorite heroes in the game as a frontline player myself. Here's why: because what's going to happen is when they engage on these team fights here, they're going to obviously Illidan's going to go in as ham as possible because that's what Illidan does. He's going to have the double support, but Zul's going to try to counter with the Poison Nova. But if the Tyrael is really skilled, he's going to pop his Sanctification as Poison Nova is going off, and since it does damage over time, it's just going to be really easy for Rhaegar to heal that up, and then that's just completely like an ultimate gone by Zul. So I think this is gonna be really well executed here by Miasma Esports, and honestly, I love their comp right now. And
Yeah.
40 Hands is gonna round out their comp with Uther.
Yep, they are going to do that. I'm a little nervous on the Uther. We're going to have to see as that plays out. He has some struggle, especially with the Kel'Thas damage, but it is a good response to the Illidan. So it's kind of like you have to pick the lesser of evils you want to deal with. Real quick, I want to let the stream know. I absolutely goofed up. We do not, because due to testing purposes, right before the stream, I forgot to set our delay to the stream. I'm going to restart it real quick. We should be back in all of 5 to 10 seconds, so just hang tight, and then we'll come back and we'll get this game loaded up for you.
Yeah, stay tuned, guys.